Hello, my name is Andrew Thake from Minds and Money. Delighted to be joined on the line by Joe David, who's the Managing Director of Elementos. Delighted to have you with us here today, Joe.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andrew. Great to speak with you today.
Joe, can I start by asking you, why tin?
Yeah, so tin is a very small market. It's 2% of the copper market, but very critical. One that's been overlooked by a lot of investors around the world for how the critical role it will play moving forward in the electrification of the world. It is on many of the global economy countries around the world, their critical minerals list, and that's predominantly for its role as an electrical solder. So solder effectively connects all the important decision-making logic elements within semiconductors, circuit boards, anything with effectively a decision-making logic. So as we say, copper is very good at moving electrons over a very large distance, but when you get to the point where logic and decisions need to be made, it's tin that plays the critical role, and will do for many years to come.
And Elementos is a tin company. Probably a lot of our viewers won't know too much about Elementos. Can you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, sure. So we're an Australian listed mining company, ELT on the ASX, but we have two assets on other sides of the world. So our main flagship project is in the south of Spain. It's called the Oropesa Tin Project, and we've had that project for a number of years now. And so that's our main focus, our absolute flagship and focus of the company. Our second project, and one that we've held for a longer period of time, is the Cleveland Tin Mine, and it's an old tin mine that operated up until 1986 that we've taken control of, and it's a brownfield project, and that's in the northwest of Tasmania in Australia.
Mm-hmm. And what are your plans over the next 6 to 12 months? What are key up and coming milestones?
Yeah, so for us, as I said, our full focus is the Oropesa project. We are midway through a definitive feasibility study for that project. Since we took control of it in 2020, we have done a large resourcing program, which increased the mineral resource base by 50%. We now have about 19 million tons of ore in that project. So we did that resource program, and subsequent to that, we've did another scoping study on the project to really shape the project. That was for two purposes: to give us the base of design for the feasibility study that we're currently undertaking, and secondly, to set ourselves up for our Spanish approval. So we have submitted our key Spanish approvals, being the environmental impact study, the rehabilitation plan, and the mining license application. We did that in April this year. So basically, in parallel right now, when it comes to Oropesa, we're maturing all the engineering and all the disciplines to service our DFS, which will be completed by Q2 2023 next year. And in addition to that, in parallel, we're working very closely with the government authorities to get our approvals completed and get the mine. Following that, we'll go into obviously financing and then into construction.
What is Spain like as a mining jurisdiction?
Yeah, hey, it's got an interesting reputation at different parts of Spain, and there's certainly been some companies that have struggled. What really sets us apart and what we're really happy is we're in Andalusia. So for people that don't know Spain, it's a series of autonomous regions or states, as other people would reference them, and effectively they're quite unique in their regulatory environment. So Andalusia is in the south of Spain, and it is relatively, for other parts of Europe, very pro-mining and mining friendly. So a number of very large mining companies are operating there. We've got the Atalaya, the Rio Tinto copper mine operating out of there. First Quantum, the gigantic Canadian copper miners, runs the Cobre Las Cruces asset, as well as Samphire Resources that recently took over the Matsa mining complex. So very large, big mining operations and a number of large open pit mines. And the Oropesa Tin project, of which we're proposing, is an open pit mining asset.
So really interesting projects in a really good mining jurisdiction. Let's talk a little bit about yourself and your management team.'s your background?
Yeah, so my background is I'm a civil engineer, have a commerce degree and masters of mining. So I've been in and around the mining industry for about 20 years. Did my time working for consultancies, moved my way into M&A, went to the dark side and worked in banking for about 5 years, doing cross-border deals. Then went back to the corporate side and really always worked between on the front end of projects, really in that project development into financing of projects. So I've done that for a number of listed and private equity companies, and took on the role with Elementos, getting close to nearly 2 years now. Came in as CEO, subsequently moved up onto the board as managing director, and got a really good management team. So just going through my my chairman is a guy called Andy Gregg. He ran Bechtel, the metals and mining division of Bechtel, for about 17 years. He worked for him for about 30 years. So he's very connected and very experienced in the project development. In relative terms, what we're doing here is very simple compared to the experience he's got. The other notable board members I've got is Brett Smith, who's on my board as a non-executive director. He is the executive director of Metals X, which is one of the very few listed tin mining companies in production. So it's good to have Brett and his experience in the sector on board. And I've got a number of other directors who I won't go through one by one, but very supportive board, very experienced, being in the mining industry for many years.
Who are your key shareholders and investors?
Well, I'm very lucky that the chairman I just mentioned is my largest shareholder. So Andy Gregg is a 12% shareholder. The board members make up another couple of percent as well. And then on top of that, we are a pretty small junior mining company. We currently have a market cap of about just under 60 million Australian dollars. Obviously, we've moved around with the tin price and the fun that everyone has had with the metals markets recently. But the other guys I've got a number of mostly Australian small institutions and high net worth individuals. So JM Financial is one of my largest shareholders. Terra Capital is another instos in me, and other than that, we've got mostly large or high net worth individuals filling up my top 10.
One final question, just coming back to tin, is there aren't that many tin mining companies out there, but there are some.
Yes.
What if an investor is looking to invest in one tin mining company? What makes you stand out from the rest of the crowd?
Well, yeah, I think you're right. So basically, I'm happy to mention them. You've effectively got exposure to only two producing tin miners at the moment. So you've got Metals X in Australia and the Alpha Min, which is listed in Canada. So those two are producers. So if you invest into them, you get exposure to the tin price. Basically, what we offer is fairly unique. We're one of the most advanced tin developers. So for us, you get exposure not only to tin price, which is looks very favourable in the years moving forward, but you also get the upside of a developer turning into a producer. So for us, we certainly get there. We look at we think there's more upside to investing in Elementos because you get exposure to both the tin price and developer becoming a producer, which should both give quite a lot of upside to our investors.
Well, sounds like a great project, great team, great investment thesis as far as tin is concerned. We really do wish you all the best. Thank you very much for your time. That was Joe David, Managing Director of Elementos.
Thank you, Andrew.